already secure, the Premier League trophy will return to Stamford Bridge for the 5th time. The Blues have dominated the league for much of the season, and Antonio Conte's achieved what others only dream about at the first attempt.
When he started, maybe other people were doubting because, you know, the background of Italian football is not always as entertaining because they're very good at defending. But just the way he played, you know, the way he set it out and the expectations, what he demands from his players as well, he just, you know, changed the game and really made us see a team that is enjoyable to watch.
Comparing Chelsea this season to previous champions' title-winning campaigns, Conte's side are out in front in terms of their win percentage. If they win their last game at home to Sunderland on Sunday, they'll set a new Premier League record of 30 victories in a single season. Some of Chelsea's supremacy comes down to their impressive results on home soil. Their 48 points at Stamford Bridge is exactly double the total they took there last season. And Conte certainly deserves huge credit after changing his tactics to find the perfect formula.
It's really interesting how the game is because the system they play with, you know, 3 at the back and pack the midfield and then allowing the 3 up front just to be free and explore any space that is available, but still moving as a team. I think that's just unique and great to watch that he really got that system down to, you know, to a T.
At the opposite end of the spectrum, Sunderland's season has been calamitous. By the time they kick off against Chelsea, they'll have spent almost 93% of the campaign in the relegation places. Put another way, that means Sunderland will have spent more days in the drop zone than any other side in Premier League history. For all involved, there'll be a lot of soul-searching.
You're always going to watch yourself, you know, and look at yourself and think like, what could I have done that would have been better? And especially when you watch a team like that, they lost the momentum as a team. I don't think when I was watching Sunderland sometimes, it looked all over the place. It wasn't like set, it wasn't as solid.
Standout performers have been few and far between for Sunderland, but one is Didier Ndong. The versatile midfielder had a shaky start after signing for a large fee last summer, but established himself to see more of the ball and win more tackles than any of his teammates. Hoping to steer clear of the Gabon international will be Chelsea's Cesc Fabregas. The Spaniard has made the most of his limited game time this season, either scoring or providing an assist every 77 minutes on average. That's his best in a Chelsea shirt.
I've always been, you know, admirer of players that are smarter than most of them around them. And I think Fabregas is one of them. I actually always said like Fabregas is like a watch, you know, one of those luxury watches. Because when he comes on, he makes sure the team ticks. So that's why I always liked him, you know. I think he's an extraordinary talent.
When these two play on Sunday, it will be almost 2 years to the day since Chelsea last lifted the title, also facing Sunderland on the final day of the season. Despite falling behind, the Blues fought back in May 2015 to win 3-1, and Antonio Conte seems sure to demand just as much effort from his players.
This team is with a coach that never sits down, will run around like, 90 minutes. I think he probably goes into, after the game, has a shower with the lads because he's like as active as them. So I don't think he will allow them to ease down. You know, they're so close, it's so important.
The fates are sealed for both sides with contrasting emotions for the managers. One set for silverware, the other saying goodbye to the elite, and surely concerned that Chelsea will be determined to sign off in style.
Following their relegation, Hull City will play for pride against Tottenham Hotspur on Sunday. Defeat would see them end on a run of 3 consecutive losses. In contrast, Spurs will aim to finish their campaign with 86 points. Only twice in the 25-year history of the league has a side finished second with a higher total. Tottenham's 6-1 victory over Leicester City on Thursday was the 9th time this season they've scored 4 or more goals in a game, a higher number than any other team in the division. The hope for Mauricio Pochettino and his side is that they take it one stage further next season.
The next step for Spurs now is to try and win a trophy. For Pochettino's men, the hardest one is always probably winning the first trophy. Once you win one, it could go on to winning on a regular basis.
One real positive for Hull has been the arrival of Marco Silva, and the Tigers will be eager for him to stay. At the KCOM Stadium, he's won 6 of his 8 league games, with only 3 teams winning more home matches since his appointment. With their manager's home record in mind, Hull will hope to secure their first ever top-flight victory against Spurs on home turf. In November 2014, Harry Kane equalised after Jake Livermore's opener before Christian Eriksen netted a 90th minute winner.
Arsenal's persistence paid off midweek as 2 late goals against Sunderland secured the 3 points needed to keep their hopes of Champions League qualification alive. Even another win on Sunday may not be enough though. Liverpool hold a 1-point advantage going into the final weekend, so Arsene Wenger's record of always securing a top 4 spot is dependent not only on his own side's result, but also relegated Middlesbrough picking up at least a point at Anfield. Finishing 5th would be a low for Wenger in what could be the final league game of a career with the Gunners that may yet end with more silverware.
Yes, they've probably been disappointing in the league, but the success that he keeps bringing to them, they're at an FA Cup final, they've won FA Cups, they've won other trophies as well. You know, if you win a trophy, that shouldn't be underestimated, and long may it continue at Arsenal Football Club, because if you was a manager of any of the other top sides in England, you'd still want to pick yourself against the best, and Arsene Wenger is up there with the best.
Ronald Koeman is the opposing manager this Sunday and boasts an impressive record against Arsenal's long-standing boss. Wenger's only win against Koeman in this division came in the pair's first meeting more than 2 years ago. In the 4 games since, the Dutchman's come out on top 3 times. Everton's boss said last week that Ross Barkley will be sold if he doesn't quickly sign the contract he's been offered. It's been a mixed campaign for the midfielder. His goal count is down on last term, but in terms of creating chances for his teammates, it's been Barkley's best season. The club will surely be hoping he stays in what promises to be a very interesting summer at Goodison Park. Romelu Lukaku's future is also uncertain, and Koeman himself has been linked with other managerial jobs.
That's the biggest challenge from now until the start of August next season, is that they've got to keep hold of Barkley, Lukaku, Koeman. If you're an Evertonian, I think you'll be quietly nervous but excited going into the summer, hoping that the club strengthen with the financial backing of the new owner and hopefully keep hold of the best players that they've got now.
The more immediate challenge for Everton is to deal with Arsenal's new formation. In the Gunners' last 7 league games, Wenger's gone with a 3-4-2-1 system, and it's producing positive results. They won 6 of those matches, scoring 13 and conceding just 4. The change of shapes allowed the likes of Mesut Ozil and Alexis Sanchez more freedom, the Chilean forward in particular. This season he's added his name to an illustrious list, just the 5th Arsenal player ever to score at least 20 goals in a Premier League campaign. After 2 more in midweek, Sanchez enters the final fixture in red-hot form.
He had a 4 or 5 week period where it was well documented. He had a dip, looked like he was a little bit sulky, but now he's definitely come out of it. He's got his sharpness back, he's got his mojo back, and when you see Alexis Sanchez playing to that kind of level, he's one of the best centre-forwards, one of the best forwards in the Premier League, if not Europe.
In such an important fixture for the Gunners, they may well be pleased that it's Everton they're facing. Throughout the Premier League years, Arsenal have had the upper hand against these opponents, racking up more wins and more goals against them than they've managed against anyone else. Everton's record in this part of London makes bleak reading. They've gone 20 years without winning away at Arsenal. Fair to say history is firmly against them. Koeman's certainly overseen a big improvement at the Blues and would love to round off the season with a win. But given the wider picture, the hosts may have more motivation.
Arsenal have got the cup final to concentrate on, so they'll not want to finish the season at the Emirates with a defeat. 1, for the supporters, and 2, because they'll want to go into the cup final against Chelsea full of confidence. So I think it's going to be a difficult game to call, but you just think that maybe because Arsenal have got the cup final and they've got something more to probably challenge them, maybe Arsenal are the favourites.
Jose Mourinho's first season in charge at Manchester United hasn't quite gone to plan. He's won 46% of his Premier League games since he took charge, fewer than his first-term stints at any of his previous clubs. He'll have to settle for 6th place, his lowest finish in the top flight of English football. The stalemate at Southampton on Wednesday was his side's 15th draw of the season, the most they've ever registered in the competition. At Old Trafford, United are unbeaten in 16 top-flight games, but have registered a league-high 10 home draws, reaching double figures for the first time in their Premier League history. Crystal Palace secured their top-flight safety last weekend, with former Manchester United player Wilfried Zaha once again on the scoresheet. The midfielder has had his best season in the league, scoring 7 goals, one more than his previous campaigns combined. The Eagles will be keen to fight off any potential suitors. 3 straight defeats had left Palace worrying about their position, but a 4-0 victory over Hull City, their joint biggest winning margin in Premier League history, maintained their status. Inconsistency has been their biggest problem, but since the arrival of Sam Allardyce, their form has improved. Stabilising the club will surely be his main task next season.
It should be quite a homecoming for Swansea City, with their Premier League future secure when they face West Bromwich Albion, safety sealed following last week's win at Sunderland. As the Swans campaign ends on a high, the Baggies have been faltering. Without a win in their last 8 league games, they seemingly need to get back to playing to their strengths.
We know about set plays. They're very important for West Bromwich Albion. They're very good at them. They practice and they know how to deliver them balls into the box and into dangerous areas. But yeah, it's a little bit surprising because you always think it's a real tough game, defensive-minded, 2 blocks of 4.
Despite their reputation, Albion may want to address their defensive record during the summer, which hasn't been up to their usual standards. West Brom have conceded in their last 7 games, and overall this season have kept just 6 clean sheets in the league. Only Hull have had fewer shutouts. Tony Pulis's men may need to be wary of Swansea's Jordan Ayew, who's played a pivotal role in his team's survival battle. The Ghanaian has set up 3 goals in his last 7 league games and attempted more dribbles than any of his teammates since his debut for the club in February. This is a fixture Swansea tend to enjoy, winning 4 of the 5 Premier League meetings with West Brom at the Liberty Stadium. A goal from Wayne Routledge and 2 from Nathan Dyer gave them victory in August 2014. And even last season under caretaker boss Alan Curtis, the Swans triumphed thanks to Ki Sung-Young.
After arriving to much fanfare last summer, Pep Guardiola's first season in English football has produced mixed results. Manchester City's midweek win over West Bromwich Albion means that Guardiola's side require just a point from their final game to guarantee Champions League football in 2017-18. Although City have already amassed 9 points more than last season under Manuel Pellegrini, their lack of a credible title challenge will frustrate the manager, who admits such performances would not be accepted at former clubs Bayern Munich and Barcelona.
In truth, I don't think they've been anywhere near the real title race. I think that Pep came in with a remit to change the way Man City played and started the season very positively, playing inverted fullbacks, making sure they dominated possession. And throughout the season, what we've actually seen is him revert back to a more traditional style.
While Guardiola can begin preparations for the next campaign, his opposite number, Walter Mazzarri, knows that Sunday's game will be his last in charge of Watford. Defeat at Chelsea in midweek was the Hornets' 6th in their last 7 league games. One man who may benefit from that change at the helm is Troy Deeney. The club captain started on the bench at Stamford Bridge and has seen less Premier League action in general under Mazzarri, playing almost 400 minutes fewer this season than last. But having still racked up 10 goals in this campaign, perhaps a new manager will play more to Deeney's strengths.
Troy Deeney needs to play football in a certain way. You need to get the ball up to him early and you need to provide him with support. And I think what's actually happened is there's 2 or 3 passes before they make that pass into Troy Deeney. That's not his style. And whilst they have this awkward union between this new style of play and Troy Deeney's effectiveness, I think that's why we've seen him come in and out of the side.
Although their Premier League status has been secured for another season, Watford's position may have been more perilous were it not for some slices of fortune. The Hornets have had their woodwork hit 22 times in 2016-17, a league high. If that luck continues against City, Kevin De Bruyne's frustrations could grow further, as he has hit the bar or post more often than anyone in the top flight this term. The Belgian did get his 6th goal of the season against West Brom, but it's his creativity that has most caught the eye, with his 16 assists, the most for a City player in a single Premier League campaign.
Kevin De Bruyne at the moment is operating at an elite level. Now, could he score more goals? Yes, as could everybody. But I think already with his assist record and what he brings to the team, being one of the players that can run with the ball and create chances, he's already proven that he is one of the world-class players that Man City have.
With De Bruyne continuing to provide the service, Gabriel Jesus will have a strong chance of maintaining his impressive form since his City debut in January. The Brazilian is yet to lose any of his 9 Premier League games, with a direct involvement in 9 goals in that time. Facing that sort of class, Watford have a tough task on their hands, given that the Hornets have lost 9 of their previous 11 games versus the current top 6 this season, conceding 30 goals in the process. The best hope of avoiding defeat in their final game may lie in a conservative approach.
If they're too gung-ho against a Man City team that is so impressive on the transition, with Gabriel Jesus and Aguero and Kevin De Bruyne and Raheem Sterling being able to run with the ball and transition from defence to attack so quickly, I think Watford could concede a lot of goals. However, if Watford are defensive resolute, they'll still lose, but just not by 4 or 5.
Fresh from a resounding 4-0 victory over West Ham United, Liverpool head into their final game against Middlesbrough in control of their own destiny as they aim to secure a spot in next season's Champions League. The Reds can guarantee their place by beating Borough, who've conceded 13 goals in their last 6 league games en route to relegation. For Liverpool, Daniel Sturridge marked his return to the starting lineup last week by putting himself on the score sheet for the first time since January. The forward's had a difficult campaign. His 9.4% conversion rate is his 2nd lowest in a single season. Middlesbrough have won just once in their last 20 league games, though it's not for want of trying. Since Steve Agnew took charge, they've attempted more shots per game on average than in their previous 27 under Aitor Karanka. Despite that, they remain the division's lowest scorers.
They didn't throw enough men forward and create chances. So certainly over the last few weeks that they have created more chances and gotten better opportunities to score goals. But it's been a hard season for Middlesbrough.
If Borough are to thwart Liverpool's top 4 ambitions, they'll have to play well on a ground where they've never won in the Premier League. In August 2008, they led 1-0 with just 4 minutes remaining before Jamie Carragher's deflected shot and a typical heroic contribution from Steven Gerrard turned things around for the Reds.
With their reign as Premier League champions over, it hasn't been the easiest of seasons for Leicester City, especially in defence. On 22 different occasions in the league this term, they've conceded the first goal, 12 times more than in their title-winning campaign. Thursday's 6-1 loss to Tottenham Hotspur was their first consecutive defeat in the reign of Craig Shakespeare, who must be credited for turning Leicester's season around with 7 wins in 12 games. Nevertheless, the result against Spurs would have been a blow to Shakespeare, with his 100% success rate at the King Power Stadium coming to such a disappointing end after winning his first 5 home games. Their opponents, Bournemouth, are 2 points ahead, but in order for them to finish the season in the top half of the table, they'll need to improve their goal scoring on the road. This term, they found the back of the net 19 times during their away games, a stark contrast to their scoring ability at the Vitality Stadium, where they've registered 16 more goals. Eddie Howe's side head into their final game of the season, knowing they're guaranteed their highest league finish in their 118-year history, having won 3 of their last 4 fixtures. Their victory at Sunderland earlier this month ended a run of 7 league matches without success on the road and was their first away from the Vitality in 2017.
Despite picking up just 2 wins in their last 14 Premier League games, the season's been a big success for Burnley, who've earned themselves a 2nd consecutive year in the competition for the first time. West Ham United will be looking to bounce back from their heavy defeat by Liverpool, which has left their chances of a top-half finish in doubt. That loss also put an end to the Hammers' 5-game unbeaten run, though Slaven Bilic may still be encouraged by the progress of his side in recent weeks. 45% of West Ham's shots have been on target in their last 6 league matches, a 7% improvement on their other top-flight outings this season.
At one stage during this season, it looked like it could be in a relegation battle. So, fair play to Slaven Bilic. He's gotten playing well, and yeah, I think that players have got to fight for managers' future sometimes. And when you cross that white line, you've got to give everything for the team. And I think over the last few weeks, West Ham have done that.
Although West Ham lead the way in the head-to-head record, in their Premier League meetings at Turf Moor, both sides have picked up a win apiece. In October 2014, Carlton Cole rounded off a 3-1 success for the Hammers, while in February 2010, goals from David Nugent and Danny Fox secured the Clarets' first win in 13 league matches.
A frustrating first term and an even more frustrating month for the Southampton manager Claude Puel. Despite registering 49 shots in May, it's resulted in just 2 goals, the team finding the back of the net on average every 24.5 attempts. And with 1 win in that time, the Saints are in danger of seeing their season fizzle out. The midweek draw with Manchester United means Southampton could now finish outside the top 10 if results go against them. Their form at St Mary's Stadium has been disappointing for supporters who've watched their side register just 6 home wins this season. Only 2 top-flight sides have recorded fewer since August. Like Southampton, opponent Stoke City head into their final game of the season in sombre mood after an inconsistent 9 months. Mark Hughes' team have conceded 56 goals, the highest amount they've shipped in the Premier League. Currently 14th in the table, they're in danger of finishing the campaign in their lowest position during their time in this competition. With 1 win in their last 10 Premier League games, the pressure is on the Potters and their manager. The club have given their backing to Hughes, but with just 3 away wins all season, gaining a positive result on Sunday might be easier than keeping some disgruntled Stoke supporters happy.
Eden Hazard for me has been the standout player. You know, some of the goals he scored this season have been phenomenal, all types of goals. You know, his pace, his balance, his composure then when he gets into the final third to finish moves off. He's just a joy to watch at times.
The games where it matters the most, he's delivered, and he's delivered on the big moments, on the big stage. And considering where he was last year with his performances, I think he's been, for me, the best player, the most exciting player to watch. And for me, he's been the best player in the league.
Dele Alli, his numbers over the last couple of seasons have been brilliant. More goals from central midfield than anyone in Europe, from a midfielder's point of view. He looks super confident. He's got a tad of arrogance about him, which I like. He's snappy in the tackle. So when you're ticking all the boxes of someone that's, you know, an all-round player, you know, Dele Alli's your man.
My player of the season this year has been Harry Kane. In my opinion, the most deadly Premier League striker of his generation. If he continues to score goals at the rate he is, then I think he'll go on to break Alan Shearer's Premier League record.
My player of the year has to be N'Golo Kante. There's so many top players at Chelsea. I could have picked out Hazard, Diego Costa, I think, has been terrific up top. The back players have been brilliant, particularly in the first half of the season. But I think he's been the engine, the driving force, if you like. He offers so much to that team that he has to be my player of the year.
All 10 games kick off simultaneously on Sunday, with 3 teams battling for the final 2 places in the top 4. Arsenal host Everton, Liverpool play Middlesbrough, and Manchester City go to Watford. At Stamford Bridge, party time for champions Chelsea. They'll lift the trophy after facing Sunderland.